I am Ibrahim Traoré, and today I'm pulling off your masks. I am 34 years old. Every day of my life, I grew up with your lies. As a child, I would watch Africa on television. Always the same images: children with flies, dry lands, weapons, death. This is Africa, they told us. This is what Africa is. And we believed it. We were ashamed of ourselves. We were ashamed of our own lands, of our own people. But then I grew up. I read, I researched, I questioned, and I understood that the Africa you showed us wasn't real. The story you told us was a lie. The fate you imposed on us was a script you had written. For years, how have you portrayed Africa? How have you shown it? How have you sold it to your viewers? As if we were creatures who had no share of humanity, as if we were savages left outside of civilization, as if we were wretches waiting for you to save us. Every day, every hour, every minute, the same story plays on your screens. Hunger, war, disease, corruption, terror, chaos. These are the words that come to mind when Africa is mentioned. In your Africa dictionary,
Burkina Faso. You might never have heard of it, but this West African country is quietly sitting on one of the richest gold deposits on Earth. It ranks 11th globally in gold production. But the interesting thing is that more than 70% of that gold income never reaches the government. Foreign corporations dig the mines, export the wealth, and leave behind poverty, instability, and unrest. People see gold. The people of Burkina Faso see empty schools and crumbling clinics. So the question Traoré raised was simple: whose gold is it really? In 2022, a 34-year-old military captain, masked, armed, unknown, stepped forward in a crumbling nation. That man was Ibrahim Traoré. A militia leader turned revolutionary, Traoré didn't hide behind his balaclava for long. His first act as transitional president? Removing the mask, literally and symbolically. Most dismissed him as another junta figure. But the people didn't. In him, they saw Thomas Sankara's spirit, without the filters. A soldier who refused to act like a puppet, who didn't beg the West, and who vowed that Burkina Faso would never be exploited again. In a move no one expected from a nation still seen as a French backyard, Traoré expelled the French ambassador. Then, he told the French military to pack up and leave, permanently. For decades, France maintained a tight grip over Burkina Faso through military presence, economic control via the CFA franc, and mining contracts. With one stroke, Traoré broke a chain that had clamped the nation since 1960. The ripple effect? Mali, Niger, and even Senegal started reconsidering their alliances. Traoré didn't just talk sovereignty, he acted on it. He revoked licenses of foreign mining giants, including the Australian firm Sarama Resources. Overnight, billion-dollar deals were thrown into the fire. Why? Because while gold was gushing out of Burkina Faso, hospitals had no medicine, schools had no desks, and local miners were being paid pennies while CEOs abroad got rich. Traoré promised that gold would finally serve the people who walk on the land that holds it. Burkina Faso once had a revolutionary leader who electrified Africa, Thomas Sankara. Known as Africa's Che Guevara, Sankara led with vision, banned foreign aid dependency, and launched mass vaccination campaigns. But in 1987, he was assassinated in a coup many believe was backed by foreign interests. Now, decades later, Ibrahim Traoré has invoked Sankara's memory not through words, but actions. Local governance, anti-corruption crackdowns, national pride. It's not imitation, it's evolution. While the West watched nervously, Traoré began aligning with countries like Russia, Cuba, and Venezuela. These aren't typical allies for a West African nation, but that's the point. This move has raised eyebrows. Western analysts whisper about Russian puppetry, but what they miss is deeper. Traoré is trying to create a new lane, one free from IMF strings and French boots. He's betting on multipolar diplomacy to protect Burkina Faso's autonomy. Before the cameras, before the revolution, Traoré was a faceless commando. A captain in Burkina Faso's armed forces, known only within dusty military files. But the moment he unmasked, literally and figuratively, everything changed. He traded tactical gear for a clear stance on national rebirth. Where others sought compromise, he sought confrontation, with corruption, foreign meddling, and poverty. The transformation from soldier to statesman wasn't cosmetic, it was existential. Burkina Faso isn't just diverse, it's a mosaic of more than 60 ethnic groups and multiple religions, with Islam and Christianity side by side. In most fragile nations, that's a recipe for civil unrest. But Traoré's stance, instead of weaponizing faith or tribe, he promotes unity through shared struggle and national goals. That's rare and risky, because while he targets foreign interference, internal factions still lurk. And he knows, Burkina Faso's strength will either be in its unity or its undoing. If you've made it this far, here's your challenge. Can a military leader truly bring democratic progress, or is it always a trade-off? Drop your take in the comments. And if you want more untold stories reshaping the world, hit subscribe. Don't let algorithms choose your worldview. Burkina Faso's biggest battle isn't always visible, it's the insurgency. Islamic extremist groups have rooted themselves in the Sahel, turning vast stretches into no man's lands. Schools shut down. Villages abandoned. Fear reigned. Traoré launched aggressive anti-terror operations, refusing foreign troops and insisting on sovereign-led action. Critics call it reckless. But locals? They call it reclaiming dignity. When terror wears the mask of religion, resistance must wear the face of resolve. When Traoré kicked out foreign mining giants and nationalized key sectors, critics warned of economic collapse. But something unexpected happened. Burkina Faso's revenue started to climb. Gold once exported with minimal local gain now began flowing into national projects, water sanitation, food security, and school funding. Even the IMF had to acknowledge unusual fiscal progress. That's the dual fact punch most headlines won't print. While many African nations still attend summits in Paris or Washington, Traoré went east, to Moscow. At the 2023 Russia-Africa Summit, he wasn't just a guest. He was the headline. He questioned why Africa, rich in minerals, was poor in opportunity. His speech sparked applause and concern. Western think tanks called it populism. But for millions watching, it was a moment of awakening. A continent once silent was now questioning aloud. In a sea of suits and scripted diplomacy, Traoré showed up at Ghana's presidential inauguration in full military uniform, with a sidearm. No entourage, no apology. Even South Africa's security staff trailed him out of curiosity. It was symbolism, not vanity. He came dressed for resistance. His appearance went viral across African social media, not as a meme, but as a message. Africa doesn't have to play by borrowed rules. The West wasn't ready. As Traoré's popularity surged across Africa, British and French media painted him as a Russian puppet. Headlines spoke of disinformation, authoritarianism, and instability. African voices pushed back. "He speaks for us," said one commentator on Pan-African TV. "For the first time, we are not begging, we are bargaining." While editorial rooms in Europe questioned his legitimacy, African streets chanted his name. Let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Traoré came to power via a military coup. In a continent scarred by junta regimes, that usually signals doom, not hope. But Burkina Faso's civilian rule before him was riddled with corruption and foreign interference. For many citizens, the coup wasn't a hijack, it was a reset. The paradox? He may have used undemocratic means to build more accountable governance. Let's address the power behind the curtain, Russia. Traoré's alignment with Putin raised eyebrows globally. Joint military drills, armament deals, and symbolic appearances in Moscow made one thing clear: he's not playing neutral. But critics wonder, is Traoré building strength or becoming dependent? While Russian support offers boots and backup, history warns, great powers rarely act selflessly. For now, it's a strategic marriage. But will it age into sovereignty or servitude? Every revolutionary faces the same storm. Sankara's death still haunts Burkina Faso, and whispers now swirl around Traoré. With enemies in Western governments, foreign firms, and extremist groups, security leaks, drone surveillance, coup rumors, it's all there. His refusal to yield has made him admired, but also marked. In private circles, many African leaders wonder, how long before someone tries to stop him? Ibrahim Traoré may not have decades of experience, but he has what most polished presidents lack, a vision that terrifies the old world and electrifies the new. And whether you love or fear him, you can't ignore him.